Thank you for tuning in to this episode of TK Conversations. And of course, I am TK. I appreciate everyone tuning in today as we continue to go on this journey of life together. Although we all have different paths and are on our own journey, we're still here together, sharing, inspiring, evolving, and growing together. So I definitely hope you take something away from this podcast as I do any podcast. Remember, my whole motto is I want to leave you better than I found you. So I want to leave you with something that is truly beneficial and would help you in your journey of growth and involvement. So today we are going to talk about, well, I don't want to word it that way. I'll start out by saying this. The other day, I had a wonderful conversation with this young lady. I talk to her quite often. She is very insightful and she always brings something to me that gets me to thinking. And she was telling me how she was listening to something. I don't know if it was a post, a podcast, I can't recall exactly, but it was about luck. And what do people do when they have good luck? Do they leverage that opportunity and do something positive? Or do they start self-sabotaging? And there were some more things that she had mentioned. And as we were discussing it, the first thing I thought, and then I shared with her, was I never thought about being lucky. Well, let me rephrase that. Years ago, when I was younger, teenager in my early 20s, I did feel like I was the most unluckiest person ever, no matter what. And that's going to I'm going to break down the detail of why I'm saying that. So back then, without dating myself, I thought I was very unlucky. I mean, if lightning could strike, it was going to strike me. That's how unlucky I thought I was. But as she and I was talking about it, I realized I haven't thought about luck and unlucky in so many years because I never think about a person as lucky. And let me tell you why. I truly believe, and you guys that have listened to my previous podcast, I believe that we create our reality. What we believe inside is what we manifest outwardly in the physical form. So we must be aligned. The thing is if I think one thing and feel something completely different, then I guess you could say the odds are against me. I'm not going to come up on what I would call good luck. But if I'm thinking one way and my feelings are aligned with exactly what I'm thinking, then that outward physical manifestation, I guess we can call this good luck. But we actually created that. So it wasn't like we were walking down the street and, oh my gosh, I just saw $100 bill on the ground or something. Someone would say that was lucky. The person that lost the $100 bill would say that's unlucky. So if you think about it, because this is more about alignment versus luck and unlucky, we really must be aligned and be in tune to our alignment. So our voice, our words, our thoughts, our feelings, all of that has to be on one accord to produce the physical outward appearance that we are seeking. So let's say, here's an example, because I've heard this often, so I'll use this example. If you feel like you're always broke, you just never have enough money, you are living paycheck to paycheck, That's how you always, that's the thought. You're always thinking that. And then you go throughout your day every single day. What's the possibility of you actually coming into some money? Your thoughts are that you never have any money and you're always broke, and you feel that you never have any money and you're always broke. You look at your bank account, you get nervous. You're aligned. Your thoughts and your feelings are the same thing. Therefore, the physical form is that there's no money in your bank account. And that's what you were feeling, and that's what you were thinking, and that's what you see. Now, let's flip this. I'm going to have you think just a little deeper. Let's think, because we're going to do this where you're not aligned. Let's say that you think that you are rich. You think that all the time that you are rich. No one could tell you otherwise. You are rich. But when you go to open that app on your phone to your bank account, you get extremely scared. You get nervous. You don't even want to push the button really and open your eyes to look at what your balance is in your bank account. Now, that's not being aligned. Your thoughts are telling you that you're rich and that's what you're feeding yourself. But then your feelings are fear and nervousness, and you're scared to even look because you feel that there's no money in that account, or you feel that the dollar amount in that account is not going to represent you being rich. That is a form of not being aligned. Take that in and think about that. And I really want each listener to really sit with that, because if you ever wonder why things aren't turning out for you the way that you want them to turn out, is because you're not aligned internally. Your thoughts and feelings are completely opposite. They're battling each other. So there's no way to create that outcome that you actually want because you're not aligned. Now, we can always work on it. We can always make those changes, but it takes the inner work. You have to be willing to do the work in order to get yourself aligned so that the physical matches, well, let me say the outward physicalness matches what you feel internally. So if you are in a situation where you're that go-to person and your family always depends on you, and you are the one that always supports them emotionally, physically, monetarily, that's you. But you no longer want to be that. You want to be whole and identify with yourself as the true core person that you are, and you can't be that for everyone anymore. One, we know you're going to have to create some boundaries, but what you have to start doing is thinking as who you truly want to be, and you have to feel yourself as being that. And don't feel guilty, because remember, the moment you start feeling guilty, that means you're not aligned. So you stand strong in that core individual that you want to be, and you feel that. Make sure you're aligned. So then when you move throughout your day, that physical representation that you are of yourself is now aligned with who you truly want to be. Now, By no means, I do not want anyone to misunderstand me or get it wrong. It is not easy. It is a battle that you are going to go through within yourself because you're becoming the new version of yourself. And it's hard to let go of the old version because remember, our mind wants to keep us safe and comfortable. So it's going to fight us. That ego is really going to get to going because it wants to stay exactly where it is and do exactly what it's been doing because it's playing it safe. Kind of like that saying, what do they say? It's better to know the devil that you're dealing with versus the one you don't know. Don't quote me on it because I know I'm not saying it right. Or it's something like it's better to know the devil that you're dealing with versus the one that you don't know. I can't say it right because I don't believe in that quote. Only because you may know what you're dealing with. Your mind knows what you're dealing with and it keeps you safe and comfortable. But just imagine everything that you are missing out on just because you won't tap into that other side because the other side is the unknown. So you're missing out on an abundance of opportunities just because you want to stay that old version of yourself. And you don't want to do that. In order to become that new version of you, in order to be fully aligned and walk in it, the old version can't come with you. You have to depart from that version because that version accomplished everything that it could. But in order to move forward, it has to be a new version of you. So you have to walk in that new version. You have to develop that new version. You must become aligned within that new version so you can move forward. So again, sit with that. And as you're sitting with it, I want you to then think about, where do you feel you're misaligned in your life? Think about just one area that you feel completely misaligned. I want you to think about what it is, and then I want you to feel. So think about it, and then see how you feel about it, and see where the disconnect is at. Are you feeling positive about it, but thinking negatively? Or are you thinking negatively about it and trying to feel positive about it? What is it that has you having the disconnect? That's what you want to dig into. So whatever that misalignment is, I want you to dig deep. And whatever that thought is that you have, ask yourself why. And continue to ask yourself why, digging deeper and deeper until you get to that root cause of why you are misaligned. Once you get to that root cause of your misalignment, that's where you start at. Now the healing begins. Now the growing begins. Now the evolving begins. And it will not be easy, but you're worth it. You deserve it. You matter when it comes to that. The only thing you have to do is put in the work. And you put in the work for everything else, for everyone else. So I challenge you to love yourself just as much. Put in as much time as you can for yourself as you do your employer, as you do your career, as you do your family. Invest that same amount of time. And that will help you develop the new version. And you will feel when you become aligned. You will know it for a fact. You would be so solid on it that you'll be able to look back at the old version of you and say, I know what it feels like to do that and feel like that and be misaligned. And I know what it feels like to be in alignment. And I'm not going back the other way. No matter who crosses your path and no matter what happens around you, you will see it clearly and you will continue to move forward. As Michelle Obama always says, when you truly know better, absolutely truly know better without a questionable doubt, you will do better. But it's not until you truly know. And that means you have to dig deep, get down to the core, to the root cause, and you have to face it. And you have to work with yourself through it. But I promise you, it will be so much better once you do. So that is my take on luck, or shall I say good luck, and not being lucky. I think it's all about being aligned and creating exactly what it is that you want within your alignment. I appreciate everyone listening to this episode of TK Conversations, and join me again this week for another episode. See you soon.